right. Today I am handing over the mic. This is a really special episode, and not just because it is number 200. And no, I did not think I would actually get here because I'm not the person who does consistency very well, but also because this episode marks the official rebrand of this podcast as the Fuck Yes Frequency. Now, I could not think of a better way to celebrate this than by having some of the women who I currently mentor and genuinely love and adore step in and take over this podcast for the day. So, you are about to meet some very, very amazing women. You are going to hear maybe some reflections, maybe some of their questions towards me, and honestly, some things that I probably just don't even expect. So I'm throwing myself in the hot seat today. Let's do it.
Hey everyone, I'm Tonya, and today I get the absolute honor of opening episode 200 of this podcast. 200, wow. And now officially known as the Fuck Yes Frequency. If you're new here, this isn't just a name change, it's a full embodiment of what this space has always been, a home for women building body-led, fully expressed, energetically clean businesses. And at the center of that is Jess, the woman who doesn't just teach this work, she lives it. Jess has a way of seeing what already is there inside you before you're even brave enough to name it yourself. And then she gently but powerfully invites you to rise into it. So, to celebrate this milestone, we're doing something a little different. Jess is in the hot seat today, and she has no idea what we're about to ask her. There are four of us here, myself and amazing women who I admire, Kristen, Cara, and Rachel. And you'll hear us each introduce ourselves in a moment. And we'll each ask Jess a couple of questions about business, frequency, the journey, and anything else we know you'll want to hear. Kristen will be closing out the episode at the end, and we'll also share where you can find us each if you want to connect further. So let's start by introducing ourselves, who we are, what we do, and maybe a one word or energy we bring to the next season. So I'll go first. As I said, I'm Tonya. I'm a life, mindset, and confidence coach for women. I work one-on-one and in small groups to help women gain clarity in what matters most, build the confidence to go after their goals, and reconnect with the joy they may have lost along the way. And the energy I'm bringing into the next season is anchored and self-led. I've been in Jess's mastermind now for my third year, and I've also worked previously with Jess for one-on-one. And I'm going to hand it over to Kristen.
Thanks, Tonya. I am Kristen. I am the founder of Time to Bloom. I am an inner growth coach and meditation therapist for women. I have been in Jess's world for 3 years, and she has nurtured me from a young pup just starting in business to really believing in myself and actually owning and running a business that is feeling completely empowering. So my word that I'm bringing in, I've got a few. It's conviction and it's personal power. And I feel incredibly lucky to be here, learning from one of the best and having just shaped me into the coach that I am today. Over to Cara.
Hi everyone, my name's Cara and I'm a holistic health coach. I support women and corporates with cutting through overwhelm, finding clarity, and achieving their health and life goals. I've been working with Jess for about 9 months and in the mastermind, I think for 6 now, but I have been devouring Jess's podcast for a number of years prior to actually working with her in more of this sort of one-on-one and group capacity. I feel just so privileged to be in this amazing space, working with her and the rest of the amazing ladies. My word going into 2026 is just really around sparking action. This is what I'm all about with my clients, and then I need to embody that as well. So for my business next year, it's all around sparking action and helping my clients to do the same. I'm going to hand over now to Rachel.
Hello, I'm Rachel, and I've been working with Jess for the last few months, and they have been really powerful months already. I'm a holistic wellness practitioner, and I work with Reiki, spinal energetics, breath work, shadow work coaching, and astrology. I support women, often mothers or women who are in some other kind of life transition. They often feel disconnected from themselves. So we work on regulating their nervous systems, reconnecting with their intuition, and helping them to reclaim their voice, creativity, and inner fire so they can live in alignment with who they truly are. My words for next year are to be grounded and magnetic.
I'm so proud of you all. Oh my gosh. I know. I just had to jump in. I'm so proud of you all. I just recorded a podcast episode just before this with some very, very seasoned women in business, some of them like 20 years. And every one of us were like, oh my God, we forgot about the awkwardness of the introduction part. And we're all tripping over our statements. And you guys nailed it. You absolutely nailed it. Oh, so proud.
So, Tonya, over to you. You can fire away with the first hot seat question.
Ooh, and I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous. So, my question is, if you could speak directly to the version of yourself who was just beginning this journey, what would you tell her now with what you know?
I would tell her to love herself. I think that there's so much that I've learned and so much knowledge, and there's so much. But when I actually really think about it, think about the woman who started maybe this journey, but this journey stemmed off the journey before that. It stemmed off the journey before that. I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was 12. And I think about some of the things that maybe I started that didn't work so well, the experience of losing $40,000 in my early 20s. I think about everything and the beliefs and everything that I brought into even starting this business in the survival mode that I started it in. Above all else, I would literally just say, love yourself more, because there was a really big part of me that I actually identify, well, not even a big part of me. I just didn't really, definitely not in the way that I do now. And then that came out in a lot of shame and a lot of stories. So I actually left school halfway through year 11. I stopped right before the first exams. I just didn't want to do them. And I couldn't explain it. And my school principal mother was like, it didn't go down too well. All I wanted to do was work. I wanted to be out and doing things and being creative and making money. So I left school, but then that came with some stories around not being educated enough and all of these things. And then as I have gone through this journey and I've learned more about my human design in particular being one very, very big piece of the puzzle for me. But then I also look at obviously all of the things that I've learned through every challenge that I've been gifted. I know some of you roll your eyes at that language, but I do. I believe that. I believe that every challenge that we are given is an opportunity to meet it in a different identity or take action through it, or just be different through it to be who we need to be on the other side. I never used to know that either. And so everything that went wrong, everything that I didn't like about myself, everything that I didn't finish, that I started and didn't finish, or that I pivot into something, or whatever it was, all fueled some very, very yucky stories about myself. And so that's what I would actually go back above everything else. I would say, love yourself.
I can relate.
Yeah. It's a big
Great.
thing, isn't it? Like core
Huge.
foundation of everything. Yeah.
Absolutely.
As someone who holds so much space in your work, what does your daily practice actually look like? So, the one that keeps you regulated, resourced, and connected to yourself while you're still running your business.
Oh, I love this question. It changes so much because I am not the person who's preaching having the exact same routine every day, the 5 a.m. starts, all of that sort of thing. I absolutely have tried, and I've been through phases. Again, it's the pivoting of something will work really well for me for a little while, and then I'll shift it, and then I'll find something else that works. And that flexibility comes from the fact that I have to. I've got two young kids and I've been in different seasons of life. I've been in, obviously, this year, quite challenging nervous system state and different seasons. But having said that, through all of that, even though the practices, and I'll share some in a second, even though they have shifted and changed over the time, they are still non negotiable. Even at my hardest times, even at the times where I was so frozen, it felt hard to do anything, the energetic hygiene, it was non negotiable. It was always there. So when we factor in the fact that, yes, I do hold a lot of space, and even though working in the realm of business, being identity led business, it gets deep. And sometimes it can get quite dark and it can get quite emotional. It can be as deep dive as when I was doing the holistic therapy work, because our traumas, everything, every bit of energetic residue that we have in our body impacts the way that we run our business. And I am a very sensitive soul. And so I do feel it and I do absorb it. And so there's a couple of things. First of all, I do my best to prioritize my sleep. That is just, it's often out of my control, but it is something that I have a very high priority of. I will say no to going out to things late. Like, I just can't, I have to sleep. And that's just something that I've learned, particularly if I'm holding space the next day or I know I've got a bigger week, I have to sleep. That's just my very first and foremost. Nutrition and the way that I eat, really, really high value of mine. And that is just keeping my body at a very baseline level fueled, because I need that energy to be able to support not only myself and my kids, but be able to hold the space as well. And then movement. So ideally, I move 5, 6 days a week, sometimes 7, sometimes it's just in the form of walking, sometimes it's more intense exercise. But that is also another non negotiable, because those things for me, they keep my physical body in that capacity. And again, even during that like nervous system breakdown state, I moved. Sometimes it was only 4 or 5 days and only a walk, but I moved. So those are sort of more practical practices. And then energetically, at the moment, I am in a journaling and Bible reflection phase. And again, that's what I mean, it changes. So since July, this has been a consistent routine for me. Before that, it was meditation first thing in the morning. Before that, it was hypnosis first thing in the morning. Then it was tapping. Again, I just lean into what feels good and what works, and also what my 5-year-old best allows me to do as well, because she's like all over me from the minute I wake up in the morning. My mornings, and they're not perfect. Every now and again, I miss them. But for the majority of the mornings, I have my journal and my daily reflections book that has, it's all sort of set out. You read the reflection. I start with that. So I start with the Bible reflection that's laid out for that morning, and then I journal and I go deep into whatever that means for me or whatever's come up. And then, yeah, I may do a short little breath or meditation after that. But that's sort of my morning. I have to do this. I have to do this between clients. Also, really important that I'm cleansing my energy, whether that be just going out, feeding the grass. Like, I've got a front yard right there. So I might just be feeding the grass and just shaking it off, just wiping it off my body, just bringing in a clean slate for whoever is coming next, because they deserve that from me. But also, if I go into that autopilot where I do just go that back to back without even a 2 minute, just a really quick, just intentionally like, oh, is this mine? Or, oh, I felt that. It impacts the way that I coach or hold space in the next session, but it also deeply impacts me later as well. I get a headache, I might feel off. So it's just really important that between sessions, I'm cleansing in some way. Beforehand, always a really quick little, like every time, I'm just like coming in from that lens of service. I'm just going to do my best. Just guide me to do my best. Guide me to meet them with whatever they need. It's just so short that it just sets such a beautiful tone. So those are the things that are consistent. And then in other practices like regular meditation or self-hypnosis, depending on what it is that I'm focused on, and really taking care of my physical body. And honestly, there is more. I'm someone who likes to jump between, um, I'm someone who likes to do a lot of things, but they're sort of at its core. And you know what? I was just thinking in terms of like listening to things and things like that as well to get my mind right. It's not so much podcasts and things, it's having like Neville Goddard, other people who are really just speaking to my soul about expecting that things are going to work out. There's so many things that I take away from those things, but that's what I'm listening to. That's what I'm listening to when I fall asleep sometimes, if I'm out walking. It's always in the background of my brain as well. And I think that really helps to keep a frequency, one, holding space, but two, going through challenges. Two, like I said, my energetic hygiene, my mental hygiene, number one priority. So, yeah.
I love that. And I love how there's no pressure around it looking a certain way. It can be how you want it to be from day to day.
100%.
Yeah.
There has been times I've had the pressure and I had a very, very all or nothing mindset around it. It was like, well, if I can't exercise before I get dressed or before, then it's done for the day. If I can't do this before, if I don't go. And I think maybe this was a little bit of also like an anxiety pattern as well, almost like an OCD pattern with the anxiety. It was like I had certain things that I had told myself would help me throughout the day. And so I was trying to be very like, nee, 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 but the pressure to do that and then the feeling of believing that I would collapse if I didn't is
Mm.
just too much. It really is. We've got to let go of that all or nothing. We all are in different seasons. Like just pick your core. And if that's just one, if all I get done in one day is a meditation or 10 minutes of breath work, that's okay. Like that's it. That's okay. As long as I have done something. But in terms of the actual space holding with clients, yeah, those cleansing offs, the giving back also too, afterwards as well. Like, oh, I've noticed sometimes I'd have people in here and in my office in person and touch them on the arm or something. And then afterwards, I'd be like, I've absorbed this. I feel it. I've absorbed this. This is not mine. And so
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
like really clear giving back rituals, having really clear regular daily cleansing rituals, all of those things are in the kind of work that I do just imperative. You can't skip over those things.
For sure. Thank you.
Thank you for asking that question.
Kari, would you like to jump in with your question?
Yes, absolutely. And I love that question as well. My ethos is all around everything in moderation. So definitely not all or nothing. So I love that. But I guess switching things a little bit now with a different question. So you said earlier that you've been a serial entrepreneur since you were 12 years old. And I know that was a number of years ago now, you were in sort of traditional type of employment. And for someone like me who is still in traditional employment and having my own business as well, I think there are a lot of people out there that are either thinking about and wanting to start a business or have started one on the side and still being employed as well. So maybe just thinking back to when you were still in that traditional employment and you're wanting to transition, what did that look like for you? Did you go all in? Did you start something on the side and build it up? And then also, how did that feel going through that process, I guess, both mentally and emotionally?
I've been asked this question before and I don't have a traditional answer for you, but I'm gonna give it.
It doesn't
So
need to be.
yeah, so the first time that I left traditional employment for a business, I was all in. I had been in a real estate agency office for 8 years. And I decided, and if you know me, it's probably my defined ego, but if you know me, when I decide something, that's it. It's done. It's happening one way or another. And a lot of the time that I decide something, I actually don't know exactly what it's going to look like on the other side. But there's just something, some sort of force that takes over me that I can't not do it. So I was 23, no, 25, 25. I can't remember. And I was like, I want to start a business. I want to start a business. I had businesses before. I had done things like network marketing on the side as well while I was in that real estate role. I was 12 years old when I made my mum get a Nutrimetics account so I could go and run the parties. Like I was in people's houses at 12. I was writing, choreographing, producing musicals and putting them together at 14 and then selling tickets to it and like all the things. And then, yeah, I ended up losing that part of me and getting into a real job because that's what I thought the right thing to do was. And there was this nudge. So the nudge started by dipping my toe in with network marketing again. And then the nudge just got louder and louder. And I just left. I left to start a business and I didn't know what that business was going to be. I was like, and I luckily I had a bit of money put away. And so I think because that's obviously something that a lot of people need to take into consideration. They'll say, I can't just leave my job. I've got to pay the bills. Fair enough. I had a mortgage. I was only young, but I had a mortgage of my own.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, all right, Jess, you can pay the mortgage for however many months with this. So let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I did. I left. I gave my notice and I paused for a bit, maybe a couple of weeks. And then I just had the intention of starting a business. And so what I ended up doing was just following. It's actually interesting to observe because I didn't really know I was doing it at that point in time, but following, literally just letting my body lead. Oh, I just love that I did that because I never really observed it like that.
Mm.
And that's when I started the event planning business. And I didn't want to just run events for other people. I did for some cash flow, as in birthday parties, 40ths, Christmas parties for corporates, whatever else I did. But my big thing, and this is the creative entrepreneur in me, really just wanted to be bringing things to life. So I had a vision of a health and wellness exhibition and again, just made it happen. I decided I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I just took one step, one step, one step, and then it happened. First year was amazing. We had a couple of thousand people through the gate, a few hundred exhibitors. Second year, I went too big too quickly, brought in a fitness influencer before influencers were a thing. It cost me a lot of money, lost a lot of money, and that's essentially where I didn't cover my costs. Third year, had a plan to cover the costs. We were going to change venues. We had a really smart plan. But the shame of losing that $40,000 was playing over and over and over in me. And then I got pregnant. And then Kalia would have been due the same sort of time as what the live event was going to happen. And I thought I could do this. I could absolutely do this with baby, except I had HG and threw up every day for 9 months. So I was really, really sick. But it also became a really great excuse to run away from the shame. Like I just shut it down. Like I just ghosted it. Literally just, okay, we're just going to run off from that. So then from there, the safe thing to do, right, is to go back into another job. Another job. So that's what I did.
Uh-huh.
And just like in every other job I've ever stepped into, I got promoted quickly, more and more responsibility, but I was doing a lot of that on autopilot. But there's this friction in my body the whole time, wanting more, wanting to create, too ashamed to go and be an entrepreneur again, not knowing what my business would look like all of those types of things. So when I actually started this business, and this is why it's sort of hard to answer the question of all of the things around navigating, did you have the business on the side and all of those types of things, because I got pregnant with Amelia. And that when I was on maternity leave with her is when I came across EFT and I started my EFT practitioner training. I started life coach qualification and I was like, this is a great thing. I'll take it all back to my role where I had a support team of like 48 people that I looked after and all of that. I thought, what great coaching skills I'll take back. Like everyone there needs emotional support. I'll take it all back. But once I started working with people and it kind of like that just lit up the little entrepreneur piece again. And then my brain is just like, different direction. And I knew in my body that there was no way that I was going back at all. But there was a lot of fear around that
Mm.
because I had 12 months maternity leave and I had to keep, and I did for about 18 months, just extend, leave without pay a little more, leave without pay a little more. Oh, yeah, maybe I'll come back. And I did think about, I'll
Mm.
go back part time and I will still grow the business. But as the universe as it was all meant to play out, the role that I was in as the business manager, that couldn't be a part-time role. It just couldn't be. And I actually at that point went, okay, well, I'm going to extend my leave then. And so I
Mm.
kept following. And I think the biggest thing here for anyone thinking about starting the business is that I just think about what a place of self-trust I was in those decisions. And just knowing that even though I didn't know exactly what it was all going to look like at that point in time, I was planning all these like in-person workshops on topics like self-doubt and, like I was planning and anxiety, and I had a wellness membership. My business looked so different back then, but I just kind of trusted that there was a big sort of fear around actually just cutting the cord and saying goodbye to the permanent role that I owned, because it was almost like that backup plan of, oh, well, if this doesn't work, you've got a job, they have to take you back. It's public service, they have to take you back.
Mm.
So that was definitely a big piece. And then there was one day where it was a weird shift. I can't even explain it, but I decided that it was going to work. It's weird. Not that I hadn't gone into anything else with the intention of it not working, but there was always the stories of, oh, well, I launched this and it didn't, all those doubt stories. Actually, something that Kristen, you said the other day that I actually wrote down and I was listening to a message. I had it too. It's like the naivety around the expectations of how long it's going to take to really make money in your business and how long it's going to take to actually establish the membership or establish the offer or establish your audience. I had that same naivety. I thought, oh, yeah, well, I'm doing the things that I'm visible and I'm paying for ads. And so therefore, I should just be earning my full-time income. And there's questions around that too from people who also want me to contribute financially. It's like, when are you going to be earning that? But I also was going in with this element of doubt. Oh, well, the launch didn't work. I literally had a story of whatever I put out, nobody buys. I had that story. And then I decided this is going to work. This next launch is going to work. And so I gave notice. I decided I was going to be seen differently. I was going to be known as the go-to alternative therapist for successful entrepreneurs. Little did I know I was also going to teach strategy. But at that point in time, I was like, I've decided. And that was the energy that I took into everything. And that is the energy that then gave me the confidence to then actually just quit my job, say I hand back this position number, it's not mine anymore. You can have it. But what happened from there, it's like energetically, I wasn't half in, half out, and I was rewarded with that.
Mm.
So, look, it's not a straightforward answer, that one, but that was my
Yeah.
experience in that. I think the thing is that there's also a lot of shame that people have if they want their business to take off and they are still in their jobs, that they either put a timeline on it or they've got 12 months
Mm.
maternity leave. And so if it's not making X amount of money by the end of this long service leave, this maternity leave, whatever they've given themselves, then it's like, I failed, close that chapter, move on.
Yeah.
And we just can't have that kind of
Mm.
pressure on ourselves because our journey and our timeline is going to be very, very dependent on how much internal identity growth we're willing to do along the way of that, which we're all
Yeah.
like, yes, we know that. And so it's actually so okay.
Mm.
And I think we've had some conversations in the mastermind too that it can be really abundant to have a job alongside building your business, because building a business costs money. And whether you're investing in mentorship, ads, marketing, graphics, like whatever it is, you don't have to spend, you can do it, I guess, on a budget. You can, but we can't believe that we can start a business and not make and not spend money. We
Yeah.
just can't believe that. And so for some people, having that job on the side is actually a really beautiful, abundant way of being
Mhm.
able to fund the business. But then we've also just got to look at, because some people feel very safe in that. And then everyone's circumstances are so different, but there are certainly different aspects to bring in and look at.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone's got different circumstances, as you say. But what I love about your experiences that it wasn't straightforward. You weren't doing both, but you weren't totally out of the other, and you were keeping your options open. You were trying lots of different things. So thank you for sharing that. I think it's really inspiring and helpful for other people listening to understand that experience and how it can be different for everyone, but it's not straightforward.
Absolutely. Definitely not straightforward.
I can relate to everything you have just said, and I remember for the first 2 years in your mastermind, Jess, I was still teaching and building the business on the side. And like you, there was a morning I pulled up in the car park and I had decided
Yeah.
it's happening, I'm moving out. And I called you from the car park. That's it, I'm out. So my question is, like I said, I can relate to a lot of your experience. You are the classic manifesting generator. Such an entrepreneurial mindset and creativity, and you move fast. And for me, moving fast has been to my detriment. It's a blessing and a curse. And I'm wondering, how did it help you when you understood more about why you move so fast and why you feel the need to keep growing and changing and perhaps aren't settled with something?
Okay, this is a very spicy question, actually. I feel like moving fast has also been at my detriment to some extent as well, because that's what I believed for a long time. What really helped me was then understanding from the lens of my human design that I have an emotional authority. And that for me, I can still move extremely fast once I have had that yes, once I've gone through the wave and then the yes is still there. But what I would find is the things that I would move fast on that I hadn't actually written out the authorities, if I'm speaking a different language to you, it's like I get that, oh, yes, I want to do this. And then bam, I'm off. And not only bam am I off, but bam, I'm off. I've created all the resources. There's a course portal up and we've got messaging done and then we're launching tomorrow. It's like bam. What happens in those times though, and I have to learn these lessons, and I think, Kristen, you too have an unconscious third line. So for us, it's like we actually have to get our hands dirty. We don't just play it out in our mind. Oh, will this thing work? No, no, no. We actually have to go and try it. We have to get our hands dirty. We have to experiment with it. We have to fail at it to know that it wasn't right. And so I would go off and I would create these things. And whilst they were great resources, nothing that we've done is wasted as such. In fact, some of them are bonuses and things that I include in some programs sometimes. But essentially, things wouldn't give me the results that I thought, or I would end up in very much a space of frustration, a really, really deep frustration that then felt like I was having to really push my way through the rest of it. So, what felt like alignment, what felt like clarity, what felt like, oh, I've done this so quickly, therefore it must be right, I would then find myself a couple of days later, it was like moving through mud and it felt hard and it didn't feel good anymore. But then I was like, but I've created this thing and I've told my team that I'm launching and now we're going to go and do it. And then I felt like I had to hold on to it because I had created it. And so I think the moving fast is such a gift. It really can be such a gift. But then when we add our emotional authority onto it, it's a challenge. It's a challenge because we want to move fast, but we also have to slow down at the same time. And so that's actually been a really big edge for me. And I give an example that one of the ways that I actually practiced this was with online shopping. So I previously would see something and I'd be like, in the cart, checkout done, like, see you tomorrow. Like, really, like, let's go, go, go. And then it'd arrive and I'd be like, what the fuck did I get this for? Like, I don't even like it. I don't need this. It was just this, oh, yes, oh, yes. So now the way that I actually started experimenting with my emotional authority was to put something in a cart and then sleep on it and then come back. And it felt hard because every part of me was like, check it out, like go on, do it, check it out. It was no different in business. But that's how I started to play around with that. Okay, actually, I just need to see, is the energy still there for that thing after I've had an emotional wave, and do I feel like I'm making this from a good emotional decision? Because a lot of the things that I used to move fast on actually came from I've got an open head and an open ajna. And so I would go, okay, I'm unsure about something, and someone would say, oh, this is the right way, or this is the best way, or I would take something so literally that I would believe I knew nothing. And then I would go and fully, within a second, recreate what someone had said to do, or take it really literally and then go run with it without actually checking in on my own emotional response. So I don't know if I've directly answered your question, but I think that it can be such a blessing, provided that if you have an emotional authority like you and I do, that we've actually taken the time to allow that to ride out, whether it takes 10 minutes or whether it takes a couple of days or even a couple of weeks. A part of our journey is to learn how to sit in that. And a part of our journey is to actually, yeah, learn how to let that. But also, a part of our journey is to make the mistake and to go and try the thing that is misaligned so that we can actually then take what we've learned, like I am doing right here, and say, yes, I did do it this way, but I've learned that wasn't the best way. Here is an alternative. And I walked through the fire for you. I already did it. I stepped on the needles. I've done the thing so that you don't have to. So I think for me, understanding that also, and it's not saying, it's not using it as an excuse to just move recklessly, but it's understanding that for me also, we can release the shame or even the detriment story, which I realized before that maybe I do still have a little bit in looking at it going, if I didn't do this, then I actually am not fully living out in the way that I'm energetically designed to then be able to come and say, hey, I got my hands dirty in this thing, but it didn't work, or it wasn't right, or I would do it differently like this. Here's what I learned from that. Did that answer your question?
Understanding exactly why you
Yeah.
are the way you are and how to work with
Mm.
that is so impactful in business.
Yeah, 100%. That's why everything that I've built, every program, every way that I mentor, whether it be in strategy or in the identity work, is under that energetics of success where we've got the clear code, which is becoming the woman who can hold it. So that's the identity work, that's the nervous system work, it's the survival identities, identifying them, healing. It's all of that. It's clearing what's in the way of us being that person. And then we have the align code. And the align code is exactly that. It's being able to understand who you are and then build your business in a way that actually honors who you are. And that's something that I know that I've done very intentionally over the last couple of years. The more that I've understood myself, really more so from my energetic blueprints. I don't claim to be a human design expert, but I do understand enough about it to be able to help people to be checking in that they're building in alignment with it. And for me, learning about that over the last sort of 3 to 4 years has meant that I've gradually built office suites and pivoted the way that I deliver things to be more deeply, and even the way that my team structure, like everything, the way that I communicate, to be so much more aligned with who I am. And what that has then led to is then experiences like you guys have in my containers, where you get me authentically, you get me at my best, you get me delivering and pouring into you in a way that you're going to get the best from me, because I'm not trying to, I don't know, cram support into a Facebook group or something where I can't speak, for example. So understanding yourself and absolutely key, because the clear code, the align code, and then we have our leverage code, which is the strategic piece that we craft the strategy based on who we are and what we're aligning with, values, vision, nervous system health, season of life. All of those pieces come into that.
Amazing. Tonya.
Such great questions and great answers.
I know.
And I had a question around timing, but how to trust the timing. But I think I'm going to change my question because we looked at that. So, in my work with you, have really struggled with being seen and stepping up online and being seen as your authentic self and being okay with being you without that judgment of what people might think or say. Can you tell me a little bit about your journey with being seen and being okay and at peace with showing up of who you are and what you believe? And how did you get to that place, that
Mm.
frequency that
Yeah.
you have now that we can all feel? What was that journey like?
Before I answer that, and everyone here is going to agree with me, the way you are being seen today, you've put the circuit breaker in that. That story that you've been running from, it doesn't exist anymore. Because the person that I'm seeing and the energy that is coming from you and the conversation we're having and the confidence that is coming out, and we're on camera, and this is you, and you've been vulnerable. And I just want to say that pattern for you is changing from this moment onwards. And I can feel that. So, thank you for asking that question. This has been something I've talked about a lot recently because you may have heard me say that I believe that the businesses who will really thrive in 2026 are the ones who are willing to look at their visibility wounds. And I deeply, deeply believe that. And that's coming from off the back of moving into a year where we have a very AI dominated world where everything is sounding very much the same. And if you aren't infusing you into it, then you're going to get lost. You won't be seen, and the right clients are not going to find you. And by right clients, I mean the people who share your values, who are committed to themselves, the people who you really just wake up and love working with. They're the people who know who you are. And if they don't feel that, or if you're one person here, masked over here online, and then they come into your container and you're like, yeah, 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 like a completely different person, then they're not going to get a congruent experience either. So there's so many different lenses to this. And when I think about the visibility, I think about it in three layers. I think about the top layer, which is that just actually being seen, which is a layer that so many of us, particularly women, I think, have. We've got our body image issues and we've got our perfectionism issues. And if we grew up with stick thin supermodels and dolly magazines and all of those things, like we've got a beauty standard. We've got a beauty standard that is unrealistic. And I know for me, and I know I said that very generally, but I know I can speak for a few of us on this call as I say that. But for me, adding that to my beliefs growing up around body image, my body having to look a certain way, not because I was directly told, but because it's what I observed in people around me. My body needing to look a certain way, never being happy with how I look, always being told, oh, you're the pretty one, or you're the, like all those types of things. And I never believed any of those things. So that first layer is that showing up and actually just being seen. And one of the hardest things I actually struggled with that, to be honest, as I moved into this business was as my body changed with these hormones and things, it's like, oh, I don't feel that comfortable. It came down to me coming back to learning how to feel comfortable within my own body. And so that was the first layer. It's just that actually being able to put your face on camera. And you've seen me do it a few times now, no makeup, no hair done, sometimes just in my active wear, sometimes in a messier type room. These are all things that I'm doing because I care a lot less now. But these are all things that I'm doing to also continue to show myself that it is actually really safe to be imperfect. So from that layer, I had that as a challenge. First of all, I used to feel like I had to present perfectly in order to be respected or to be taken seriously or to not be made fun of. Or I literally would tell myself that someone would be like, oh, why is she wearing those shorts? Or, because of the cellulite or whatever. Like I had stories that weren't true, but I had these stories. So that's the first layer. The next layer of visibility is where you're being seen. And I've got these layers because I've been through them all. Again, this is the sixth line and the third line. I've had to go in and experiment with it all. So the next layer is where you're actually being seen. You've got no problem picking up your phone, speaking to camera and whatnot. But there is a level of masking to that. Now, my experience in that has been I've still recently explored another level of it. It's like the first one was I told you guys about the belief that I had around not being educated enough. So when I then came into stepping into working with stress, anxiety, trauma, nervous system, I was like, you're not a psychologist. Who the fuck do you think you are? And that was huge for me. So then I felt like I had to put on this like clinical, professional, trying to be something that I toned down the energetic side. I didn't even talk about the energetics of EFT, and EFT has a huge energetic component, but I was trying to speak clinically. I was trying to be taken seriously. And also, 5, 6 years ago, you'd say EFT, and most people would be like, what? Like, what's that? They had no idea, right? So it's also being seen in a different way. And I think at that mass visibility, and I will just say as I talk about this level of visibility, I am just talking about content and being seen by your clients. I'm not talking about, actually, I'll talk about this in the next piece. I had that. And then I was like, no, I'm going to let myself be seen more spiritual. I'm going to really start to own who I am. But then I thought, oh, spiritual people don't really say, are they going to say the F word on Instagram? Like, what are people going to think about that playful? Because as all of this is happening, I'm also getting more and more connected to who I am as I move through my rebirth and the caterpillar goo that I spent so long in, like moving out of living my day-to-day life in a survival identity, starting to know who I am again and remembering bits of me that I'd been disconnected from and forgotten about. So then I was like, okay, well, you've got to be really spiritual. And then it's not intentional. It was never like I'm trying to be inauthentic. In fact, at that moment, I was being authentic. But then I went too far another way where I felt like, oh, am I going to be judged if they see me for the sarcastic side? For the person who literally gets their kicks out of throwing little crackers at people that explode and hiding fake snakes, like, and I'm the person who laughs when someone falls over. Like, are they going to judge and hate me? Like, you know, that's like that was then the piece that I was hiding. I'm playful, I'm sarcastic. And then so it's like we've gone too far one way. So there's another level of masked visibility. So then we move into the authentic expression, which is that third layer of visibility. And we can dip up and down depending on what's happening for us. Like my body has put on 10 kilos this year and I went back up to level one for a little while, especially having a branding shoot that state and having to learn to love my body and be comfortable in the outfits that I wore on the beach and all those types of things. So it's not linear. You don't get to one place and never go back. But authentic expression for me is that deepest level. And that's where I deeply believe that people actually really have to go to be seen in a very busy industry moving forward. And that's where we are fully expressed to the identity that we know today. Because we know that our journeys are always unraveling. And like I said, it's only a few months ago that I reconnected with that real playfulness, with that more spicy. And then the last layer for me was the more sensual. That fully expressed also then comes from being able to be seen for what you believe, to be able to speak the things that maybe you would worry about saying once upon a time, to be able to say it, but know that you've done enough emotional resilience work, that you've felt enough hard feelings, you've felt enough uncomfortable things in your body to know that you're actually going to be okay if someone says they disagree. Or you're actually going to be okay if someone puts like a clown face or tells you to get a real job you bum on a Facebook ad, because that's happened to me. I think I said to someone the other week, like, blonde hair, blue eyes, and big boobs. And you can imagine some of the comments and things that you get showing up online. But that meant that I wouldn't wear something like this. But that's not me. Why do I have to pretend to be someone else or feel a certain persona when the depth that I want to take people to, and it is hopefully being in my space, the depth and intimacy that I want to bring to containers is a two-way street. And so I can't expect that I'm going to be able to take someone to the depth of level of healing and exploration that I know is going to be life changing and long lasting changing if they don't feel like they know me because they're not going to trust me. And also from a personal level, and I actually said this when I recorded a secret podcast that I am putting together as a top of funnel at the moment. I said this yesterday as I recorded it. I've been really sitting with the fact that we have just one life in this body. So why am I so scared to not be myself? Like, why can't I live that life? Like, why can't I be that person that God created me as? Why can't I be that person? It just baffles me that the stories in our head and then the uncomfortable feelings that we attach to those stories become so big that it stops us from being able to share ourselves on Instagram or tell an uncomfortable story or things that we know. Like we sit here saying how impact driven we are, and we know that connecting with people is going to create impact, and yet we're scared to be seen. It blows my mind, but I've definitely been through the trenches of it. And then what I was going to say too around that authentic expression, there's a level of visibility that I think a lot of people don't think about too, because we think just about Instagram content or we think about our ads or whatever, our photos and all those things. But are we allowing ourselves to be seen as an authority? Are we allowing ourselves to be seen as an expert in what we do? How do we see ourselves? That's going to fuel your visibility. Are we standing in a room of our family members who are saying, how's your business going? And you're like, oh, it's okay, but straight onto another conversation. Or, but work's really busy. Or
Yeah.
are we owning the fact that we are entrepreneurs? And that was another level that I struggled with too, not owning the entrepreneur piece, but knowing that there were people in my world that thought differently to how I did, that see wealth differently to how I do, that want a different type of life to how I want. And I have to be comfortable, not even comfortable. I just have to be embodied in being who I am and what I want, because otherwise, how can I show up and say to you guys or say online, talk about being an embodied entrepreneur and then hide the fact that I'm even an entrepreneur in a closed room to people who love me the most? So there are all these layers to me. Visibility is actually the theme of my whole next few months of front end messaging and conversations, because it's not just about being seen like that. There's all of these layers.
Thank you for sharing and being so vulnerable. And I certainly, it's a journey. It's a journey for
And it
me.
is. It is a journey. Don't expect that you're just going to rip a band-aid off, but it's all around finding safety in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I had someone say to me the other day, "You're quite mean to yourself." And it was a
Mm,
real slap, actually. And it was a
yeah.
slap I probably needed. And it was a
Good.
real aha moment.
A love punch.
Yeah.
I
Love punch. Yeah.
love punches.
I got a love punch.
So you're hearing it here first. We are going to be seeing Tanya do what? Tell us. What are you going to be doing?
I'm going to be okay as being seen as the authority in my
Mm,
business and in my leadership and in my coaching.
yeah,
And I'm going to give myself some kindness.
I love that. And being okay to be seen as you.
Yeah, it's okay to be
Yeah.
me. You said when I asked that first question, and you said loving yourself
Yeah.
for who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for asking that question.
No, thank you.
Before Jess mentioned that, I was thinking that about you as well, Tonya. Like the way you're showing up today has been really beautiful and really courageous. And I think you're already doing a better job than you realize. So
Well, thank
definitely
you.
stick with that.
Thanks,
Completely
Rachel.
agree.
Jess, what do you come back to, or what do you do when you feel like you're overwhelmed or you feel like giving up in business when things are feeling heavy or lacking direction?
Oh, I had to learn this on the hard way. I used to try and force through that and try and use my head to find the answers. What I come back to now feels so uncomfortable still, and that is space. I come back to
Mm.
space. And again, I understand the practicalities of needing to feed our families and all of those pieces. And so I'm not saying I come back to doing nothing. I'm very not fortunate. It was very intentional. I have been able to create reoccurring revenue in my business that allows me a level of certainty for 12 to 18 months, which is really awesome. So that is, I guess, another leverage strategy piece that actually means that I can have those moments where it is heavy, where it is like, oh, I'm not really sure what's next, or maybe I want to burn it all down. But what we find, and I will stand on this hill to the day that I die, this is happening because there is a friction between the identity that you are stepping into or have already stepped into and the business that you've created.
Yeah.
There is a mismatch in that. And that's what happens. That's why we feel like we need to burn it all down. That's why we feel that heaviness. But while our brain is desperately searching for the answers, you can do something to produce income in the meantime. Okay. So just do like wherever the lowest hanging fruit is, do that. But what I turn to now is space. And I think that, again, it comes down to timelines, it comes down to expectations that we've put on ourselves. We expect that we should just have the answer. We expect that if we're not creating something new or we're not pivoting the thing straight away, that I don't know what the story is. I failed. It's like, what's the urgency? Because I can promise you that the aligned thing is going to drop in when you come back to your natural way of leading your day to day through your body and through really connecting in with what that actual yes is for you. And for you, Rachel, as that manifestar, it's like, have you even had enough of the rest season to
No,
be
and
able?
that's, I think, something that's been at the forefront of my mind
Mm,
recently, and definitely more of a conscious like decision and choice to rest.
yeah.
And it does feel a little bit uneasy.
Yes, absolutely it
But
would.
I get so much more clarity and so many more ideas when I actually lean into the rest as well. But it's like got
Mm.
to be intentional rest.
So you have the answer
Yeah.
to the question, and my answer is exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's the space. So it doesn't necessarily have to be like that a rest period for me, but it's just more about the space. So it is a not self thing for me to be really initiating something and really trying to draw it all in. And it can be even as something as simple as content creation. If I am trying to force just because it was recording day scheduled on my calendar and I'm then trying to force all of the episode, nothing's going to happen. Nothing. The
Mm.
amount of frustration that I get, the circles that I just go round and around and around in, and then the quality that I put out is not good. So, what I do is I step away and I give myself space. But I did have to again learn that one the hard way. My most recent experience with this was only a few months ago. And it was as I was really coming out of that goo and I was moving really into that rebirth phase. I was in this like, I need to burn this all down. Something is off. But of course, my brain went, well, you need to burn it all down. And then I'm like, no, 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 come back. Something's off. Something's off. And so for me, it was bringing that. I actually pulled a card. I was thinking this one morning. Then the very next morning, I got my card deck out and I just said, this person, I have a couple of mentors, and one of them is Holly McHugh. And I said, Holly has been put on my path for a reason. Show me what it is. And I pulled the card and it was Rebirth. And I was like, you can't make this shit up. You can't make this up. So I went in and I said to Holly, I was like, something's off and I've got this burn it all down kind of feeling. And she's like, well, what is it that you really love, love, love? And I was like, well, everyone comes to me in the rebirth. And then I was like, oh, rebirth. Oh, I pulled that card this morning. And I said, everyone comes to me in the breakdown, in the rebirth, in the pivot, when their business is at friction from I've built this from a survival identity versus there's someone else who's now here to lead and we need to catch everything up into the same frequency. And it was in that hour that I was like, frequency first. Like, this is what I need to lead with. And for some reason, I had a little like imposter thing about talking about frequency. But then I was like, no, no, it landed for me. I was like, oh, hang on. I didn't need to burn it all down. I just needed to actually speak in the way that I really wanted to speak. And then that kickstarted the frequency first pivot, which was only a pivot in the way that not even in the way I deliver, because it didn't change any deliverables as such inside of these containers. It has changed the way that I've looked at the Ascension Academy. It's rebirthed in itself now to Visibility Rebirth, and it's relaunching in February. Same content, same journey, but it's a different energy. It's a different frequency. And then from there came this unraveling, which then links to what Tonya was saying around, oh, I've been holding myself back in being expressed. I've been holding myself back in this. And then channel of intimacy, like I can't not have some kind of like sexy element to my business. And I can't not be a sensual female. I just can't. Like, why am I holding all of this back? But that conversation pivoted all of that and birthed the fuck yes frequency, which is, and it all happened over the last couple of months, but it didn't. It actually built up over the last couple of years
Mm-hmm.
because I have been unraveling and undoing and healing and facing and feeling and breaking down and coming back together and breaking down and coming back together for years. It's the friction when someone feels like they want to burn it all down and it feels heavy. One, stop trying to force it into fruition. Just find the lowest hanging fruit to make your money in the meantime and let that next thing come. And if you are practicing intentionally learning how to be body led, understanding what your yes or no feels like, understanding how your intuition communicates with you, understanding, and I said this to one of the girls in the mastermind, she's saying something about she was trying to pull in the next piece. And I said, what you're going to find is that you're going to feel some energy for something and you're going to take one step. And then without even thinking about it, you're just going to take the next step. And then that's going to put you on a different pathway. And then suddenly you're going to look back and go, oh, I've pivoted. But right now you're trying to pull it all in. So, first of all, stop trying to pull it all in, stop trying to control it. Decide what experience you want to have and focus on that. Believe that experience is already done. The law of assumption, never got out in my ears all the time. And it is done. And it is so. It is done. And then understand that there is probably a frequency mismatch. And that's why I now have my frequency first diagnostic process, which a lot of you don't even know that I ask those questions in a hierarchy. But it starts with what are we thinking, feeling? And like it starts with the frequency. What emotional meaning have I attached to this? And then who am I being? So we're looking at that identity level. And what is the identity gap between the vision that you have and who you're being? Because that's normally the first place that we drop off. And then we get to look at the energy of the business and the strategy of the business. And like there will be a mismatch.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I certainly came to you in the real like caterpillar goo, like you said,
Yes.
in the rebirth and pivot kind of phase. But I did have a little moment the other day when I realized I had this belief that making money had to be hard, but it
Mm.
actually doesn't have to be.
No,
So I was
it
like, hang
doesn't have to
on, it
be.
gets to be easy.
It does. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It gets to be easy. Yes. And I'm just going to share a little shift. Like, obviously, we've had quite a few conversations around money in the mastermind, but something Tracy said to us a couple of weeks ago on a call, and I love it. I have a similar mentality, but I'm going to use her analogy. She said, I think of every dollar that comes in as a little soldier. And so then I put it to work. And I just love that so much. And then I think I might have said to one of you the other day, Tonya, yes, Tonya, I said to you the other day, I was like, think of it like that. Think of it like the soldier, but also think of it like it's just not yours to hoard and keep either. So if we stop trying to hold on to money like this, then we let go of that scarcity and we let go of that tension, and then it gets to ebb and flow. And we don't become stressed about it because we know that it is meant to come and go, and we are meant to put our little dollar soldiers to work to make more money for us or to invest in something. And I think it's just a really great way to look at it because we're scared to spend the money, scared to dip into our savings, scared to take an income cut, or scared to invest in ourselves, scared to invest in our business, scared to like whatever. But it does. It gets to be easy. Can you go, and actually everyone listening, go and write down a list of every way that it has been easy and let your brain
Mm.
actually now start to look for that. And that could include finding a 5-cent piece on the floor. Like value, honor, and respect every amount of money, no matter what it is. Yeah, it does. It gets to be easy and fun.
Yes. Yes.
There's a big shift to come from that. I know that was a
Yeah.
big one for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can ask another question.
You can, absolutely.
Yeah. So you get to speak to lots of people every day, whether that's existing clients or new clients or people that are interested in working with you and becoming part of your world. Is there like a certain thing or a theme that is most commonly discussed or you're hearing the most? May have heard a little bit about that already, but yeah, I just want interested to see if there's sort of anything in particular that people are chatting to you about.
Yes, I think at the moment it's definitely the visibility piece.
Yeah.
And that was a real anchor for me. And visibility in different ways. Visibility in the way of how to balance my energetic side with being taken seriously. Visibility in the way of my husband doesn't understand what I do. And then conversations like, I really want to be doing this, but, and it's funny, the language is always so much the same. It's like, something's just not working. And it's like,
Mm.
I can't put my finger on it. And it's a little bit like what Rachel was saying. It's that burn it all down kind of energy. That is also another conversation that I have a lot. And that is because people come to me in the pivot and the rebirth. It really is. And so
Mm.
it's like, oh, I can't figure it out. What's working, what used to work isn't working. I don't know what my next step is. I feel like I just want to burn it all down. Like sometimes it's like depending on the emotional state the person is in, it's like, I've just been asking, what's the point?
Yeah.
Like, stuff,
Yeah.
it was working. And it is, it's that there is a mismatch
Yeah.
between the frequency that you are in, and it's either going to be you or the business. And then we just need to bring it up
Yeah.
into congruence. So those like the visibility piece and like I said, being seen as the authority, being seen as a leader in your industry and like how to feel like the authority. And I think a lot of the undertone of it is self-trust. A lot of the undertone of it is a visibility fear. A lot of the undertone also is that fear of judgment as well. And also, self trust actually comes back when I think about what's underneath a lot of it for a lot of these conversations because they either don't trust themselves to be the leader they need to be, or they don't trust themselves to make the money, they don't trust themselves to be able to leave their job. So I think they're definitely a lot of common conversations
Yeah. And I
that I
guess
do
that's
have.
why people are
And
reaching out.
money, raising your prices.
Yeah.
That's another big one. Yeah,
Mm.
another really common conversation that I have is around being able to raise your prices.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, I guess that's why people are reaching out to you because they need that support for that next
Yeah.
step. Yeah.
Yeah. And actually, as I say that too, the other piece that comes through a lot, even just in general conversations, but how a lot of people do come to do something with me is because I have been open and honest about a lot of the emotional experiences that I have had.
Mm.
And people want to know, how do I have a human experience? This isn't exactly their words, but they want to know, how do I have a human experience that isn't all positive, rosy all the time? In other words, how do I go to hell and back? Like, how do I deal with the shit and still run a business and still
Yeah.
show up? Yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. We have a whole you call for that. And we have a whole channel dedicated to supporting you. Like, I love that. We are not robots.
No.
We're not robots. And to think that we're going to be able to run our business and not experience grief and not experience hurt and not experience anger or frustration or any kind of challenging emotions during that time is impractical. It's
Mm.
delusional. It is. It's delusional
Yeah. Yeah.
because you're not a robot. So
No.
understanding how to be able to grow your business. And again, that comes into leveraging the strategy a lot. Creating a business that can hold you is really important.
Yeah, and so helpful for people to hear that, to know that they're not alone and that's completely normal. And
Yeah.
most people go through it, but there is support and guidance to sort of help you through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I love that question.
Thank you, Jess, for allowing us to be a part of this pretty impressive milestone, 200 podcast episodes. and putting you in the hot seat for a change, and for being the kind of mentor who really does not only tell us but shows us in every way how to lead ourselves first and foremost, and then our business. So my final question is of everyone. Jess is moving into her fuck yes frequency. So I wonder what your fuck yes frequency for 2026 is going to look like. So maybe start with you, Tonya.
I think self-trust to allow myself to shine. So
Mm.
self-trust.
Yes.
Love it. How about you, Rach?
Mine's similar. Fully trusting myself to show up in my truest expression and trusting my pivot as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Mine's very similar again. Self-trust, also trusting the process and being okay with the timeline, like my own personal timeline and where I'm at. But then also back to the start of the episode when I was talking about sparking action, sort of bringing that in as well. So,
Yes.
yeah, bring on 26.
Yes. Fuck yes.
Jess, do you
I love
feel
how
like we
every time
should...
someone said it, they were like, your fuck yes frequency. I know you ladies can say the word.
I'm okay saying the word. Jess, can you answer that question and give
Yeah,
me a short way?
absolutely. Yes, yes, I can. So I am bringing in more energy of spiciness, playfulness. So just on a very, very quick, my motivation in my human design is innocence. And the direct opposite of that is leadership. And what I would always try and do is I wouldn't make my decisions or even have the motivation behind me from an element of playfulness. Playfulness is one of my most natural states. It is actually something that I had disconnected from so long, but it is also meant to be from that energetic lens, the motivation behind any decision that I make and anything that I do. And so, playfulness, spiciness, but also groundedness at the same time. And that is my fuck yes frequency moving forward, is a beautiful blend. I'm just seeing these like energies. If you're watching me on YouTube, I look a little silly right now, but I'm seeing these three colors just merging together. That's what my frequency is moving forward right now.
I love it.
Yeah. And what's yours?
Mine is about backing myself and
Mhm.
leading with certainty. And a little like Kara's, my timeline is different to everyone else's timeline. So to sit in that in trust and continue to be of service and love the women who come into my world.
Oh, I love that so much.
So, before we wrap up, if you would like to connect with any of us, our details will be in today's show notes. And if you've been listening for a while, you already know that this is about the fuck. I said it wrong. I'm so good at it too. The fuck yes frequency is only just getting started. Just like all of us, we are only just getting started, and we've got such a beautiful mentor to show us exactly how that is going to look. So, thank you, Jets, for having us. We've really enjoyed this. Would any of you ladies like to say anything else before we wrap up?
Just
Thank you. Do you know what we could very quickly do is can you just actually tell the ladies, because yes, we will have all of your details in the show notes, but we'll whip around and just tell anyone listening if they want to connect, if they want to come over and have a peek, see what you do, inquire about your services, but they're out walking right now and they don't want to read the show notes. Where can they find you, Kristen?
You can find me on Instagram, Time to Bloom. I am all about supporting women to really believe in themselves, drop any of the stories that had them not really stepping into their own lives. It's all about confidence and empowerment with a beautiful blend of neuro education and energetics.
Beautiful. Tonya, where can we find you?
So we can find me at Instagram on Evolve and Grow Coaching, in Facebook, and evolveandgrowcoaching.com.au online for my website. And Jess, congratulations on your 200th episode.
Thank you. This is such a great way to do it, by the way. Do you know, for my 100th, I was interviewed by Tracy. So it was like my mentor interviews, and I just thought, what a better way to do 200 than to spend it with you guys. Rachel, where can we find you?
Thank you for having us. It's been so good. I'm on Instagram and it's rachelsimons.holisticwellness.
Beautiful. And Cara?
Yep, everyone can find me at mod or health_coaching on Instagram. And if you're looking for some inspiration, some motivation around your health and life goals, then come over and say hello. I would love to chat and support you. So
Amazing. Oh, thank you, ladies.
thank you, Jess, for the opportunity. That was fun.
Yeah, thank you.
If this episode awoken something in you, good. You are ready to lead from your fuck yes frequency, and you'll find ways to go deeper in the show notes. And before you go, I would be so grateful if you could leave a review and share this episode with someone who you know that is done leading their business from survival and ready to create and live in overflow. See you on the next one.